For this next one, let's go ahead and go to tutorial 11. So inside the scenes, just go down to scenes and double click on tutorial 11 right here. When it opens up inside the hierarchy tab, if you go inside of the prefab Mario Player camera HUD, into it, you want to go down to the HUD option. The HUD option over on the side in the inspector, you'll notice you have the HUD controller script. Go ahead and just double click to open it up. Now, the HUD controller script is going to look like this. Now, what we're trying to do with this one, what we want to basically create is a system that's going to store and hold our coins and our lives. Basically, just the ability to update it. Okay, so we've already created from before. We've created the player properties, which contains the ability to add coins, add keys, change the player state, those elements. Well, we want to go ahead and set up a system that can add coins and lives right here, and then eventually tie all that in together. Alright, so let's go ahead and just focus on being able to change a number, add it, make one number more for this one, same thing for this, add a number, and then make it where it can go to 10, go to 100. What we do have is the countdown script, or time controller script we've already done before. So let's go ahead and just go to the time controller here. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of this and paste it into the HUD controller. Alright, so we could actually use this as our template, just as a starting point for us. We'll change the top part here and just call this one the HUD coin and life controller component. Alright, and we'll change this one. This could be whatever date is currently available. There's a description right here. Let's actually just cut this down to just what we need. Our description for this will just be it controls the GUI coin, counting for coin pickup, and player lives. Alright, so that's all it's basically going to do for us. Very simple, very straightforward. Now, at the moment, we've got the ANI font 1. So, like, for instance, if we were to save this, and we go back over to our HUD, you'll notice that inside the options, what we're going to have, which is fine, is we would have just a very standard animation font 1, 2, and 3. However, if there's, like, for instance, at some point you may get to an area where you need to really have it more defined for the whether it's the designer or just for inside the inspector, what you could do, and this is something where we could actually use our other, just as a note here, we could use our other script, our time control, and make this one work. But if you wanted to make it more specific, you could go in here and you could change this up. We'll say that the first variable we'll do is just going to be lives font 1. Okay, so we'll set 1 to our lives. We'll set the others. We'll set to a coin font 1, and we'll set the other ones as well. So let's go ahead and just grab this right here. So we'll just take this one and just make a duplicate 3 times. Alright, so let's see, we're going to have a font 3 and 2. Alright, let's get that cleaned up right there. So we have a variable for our lives. We've got one for the coin 1, 2, and 3. So that's going to give us our lives right here, and then our coins right there. Alright, so we'll take those, and then we don't really need the countdown anymore. The only thing that we actually need from all of this, we'll take those out. The player enabled, countdown enabled, we don't need those. All we're focusing on at this point is just getting the every time we get a new coin, or we get an extra life, or we lose a life, the animation sprite is just going to count up or count down for us. Okay, so go ahead and just kind of, this may be something you just kind of watch, and then when I get to the point where I'm changing code, just change what you currently have just to match with it. At this point, what we don't want to actually have happen is the playtime. We're not interested in actually having it change from that element. Okay, what we want to do is actually adjust from our indexing. So, for instance, down inside of here, we want to actually just change the index directly. So I'm going to make an extra parameter on our function to hold an index value that we can just adjust each time something changes. Alright, so we want to get rid of the option to change it based on time, and up inside the function. So again, just very simple change here. We're going to go up into our function and just add index. Alright, so again, we'll use the index as part of our function call inside of here on the update, which is just simply say if we have a coin, when the coin changes to 2, we're going to be indexing through to the next sprite, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so inside of here, let's go back into our function. Clean this up right there. Alright, so we have a font 1, 2, and 3. Let's go back to what we had before, which was 4 fonts. So we'll go back to here. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and 4. For this one, this is going to be our life option. So we'll just say lives. And for the lives, it's going to be the same as the font 1. So we'll just do the indexing with the module of 10. And we'll take that part off. Okay. So this will be just a little bit of cleanup on our code. We're just kind of going in here and making it specific. When I first went through here, again, that was, it's similar to what you could do is just go through and think about it. How could you actually use the animation sprite sheet, modify it into making it work for just an update on a sprite? It's going to be similar to this, that you may spend 30 minutes or so trying to come up with the right answer. And if you want to go ahead and take that time, practice, try to figure it out, feel free to do that, and then come back and see how close you got to what I was working on. Alright, so we'll do the type. We're going to have, again, we'll just go with the font 4. We'll do the font 4 here, index is going to equal to the font 4 right here. And we'll update all that part right there. Okay, so we've gotten back into 4 fonts. The first 3 are going to be for the coins. The last one will be for lives. And we can go ahead and just place this right here just as a note. We'll do coin 1, coin 2, and coin 3. And let's just say font 4, position, lives. Alright. So with our index is going to go in here and be directly resulting in the change for it. So if we go back down inside of here, we don't need to actually adjust anything here because we're still using the right words, so everything will work for it. But what we do need to do is actually update our update function. So inside the update function, we have a couple of things that we're going to be calling for that we actually need to use later. So part of the things we need to call for, let's go ahead and make a variable. We'll just call the variable player properties. We'll just do pprop for short. And we're going to make this equal to a game object. And we're going to find. So remember, if you're trying to find an object, you can do gameObject.find. And we want to actually find the player. Okay, because on the player, part of the thing that we actually need to look for on the player is going to be the lives. So on the player, we're actually going to be looking for the player properties. So if you remember, when we did the player properties, we had lives on there. Well, part of the GUI right here is showing the lives. So we actually need to go in there, grab the number, and then we'll use the number and put that as part of our index, so that when it goes in here, it's going to say, for instance, like on the 4th one when we do lives, we can actually check and see how many lives do you have, and that's where we index to. Okay, so for this part, so on the update, we'll do this one. We're just going to make a new variable. We'll call it lives, and it's going to equal the player property. And the player property, we need to get the component for it. So we'll get our component, and inside the component, we're going to get our player properties. This is going to be the script we're pulling up here. So the player properties, and what we want from it are the lives. Alright, so lives inside of here is going to be holding the player property lives. Alright. So from here, let's go ahead and do a few more things. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this. I don't need any part of the countdown timer. Just need this one part, which is going to be our animation fonts. And we'll go ahead and make the 4th font as well, so you can just make a copy of that last one. And we'll go ahead and set it up in a different way here. We'll do, for the if here, we'll say lives font 1. So remember, we're just calling it from right here. We'll say lives font 1. If it's actually equal to null, then we'll go ahead and skip this part. That's just a simple check for it. The other ones for the animation fonts here, we'll just change these to coin. So for this first part, we'll just type in coin, and then do the same thing for the other three, or the other two. Alright, so we have coin font 1, 2, and 3. We've got lives font 1. Okay, now the next part that we want to do, we can actually just copy. What we're doing is just filling in the animation sprite sheet right here. So the sprite objects are actually right here, so we just want to use those. So we'll copy this and paste these in. Alright, so we paste these in. Again, that gives us the setup, so it's actually calling those sprite objects right there. For number-wise, we can actually stick with what we currently have, which is going to be saying that the size will be 10 columns long and just one column up and down for the one column or one row up and down. It's going to be the same for all of those elements. The other part here, remember we've changed our function call. We've added to it the index. So over here on indexing, how we're going to index through, what we're actually using is coin, and we're using lives. So those first three, we're actually just going to do coins. We're going to call up coin right here, and call up coin here, coin, and call up lives. Alright, so we'll have those placed in. They'll allow us to actually call up each one so that we can have them when a coin is collected. We'll be adding a coin to this. When a life is either collected or taken away, then it'll update it or subtract it from right there. Alright, and all of those are being pulled in from the player properties, and part of that is calling up the lives based on the player property script on lives. Okay, and the last thing to do is to actually make the lives and the coins, actually the coins and the indexing. We need two more variables up here. We're going to make a variable, and we'll just go ahead and make them private. We'll make a private variable for index, since we have the new index inside our function and our parameter there. We'll do index as an integer. We'll start off equaling to 0, and we'll do an index variable for coin. And again, it'll be an integer, and we'll equal it to 0. Okay. So if we have those, we set them up. When we go back into the into Unity, just click on your HUD. Let's see, right here. If I click on the HUD, I'll have lives and then the coin 1, 2, and 3. For the coins and those, let's go ahead and just drag those onto it. So HUD coins number 1. We'll take to HUD coin number 1 right there, and then 2 and 3. Alright, and then for the lives, just go down to the HUD lives number, and we'll drop that one into there. Alright, so with this one, what I should be able to do is go in here and play, and when it actually starts, I should see that those are all set to 0 right here. And then I can double check on this one if I actually want to increase any of these. So for instance, let's say we push stop here. And if I go over to my my coin, for instance, I can go over here and say I put in 10. And we save this one out. If I go back into here and we push play, the coin themselves are going to be updated. So now we actually have 10 coins showing right there. So the update, whenever we get coins, when we start to make our coin pickups, when we grab a coin pickup, we're going to actually add it to coins. That way, every time we grab a coin pickup, we just increase the sprite count right there. Okay, and then last thing we want to do, just make sure that our lives are working. If we go back down to the update, again, copying and pasting is one of the things you want to be sure you look out for. Is what I was actually checking for on my, this was called, let's double check our string that we're looking for. I was actually calling up the font 3. We want to make sure we're calling up font 4. There we go. So if we call it font 4, we're actually getting the right font to be using. So this time, go back into here and I play. The Mario Live should change to 4. So if you notice the 4 right there, I'll stretch this out a little so you can see it. There you go. So, font 4, the lives, number 4 catching right here, which means through our player properties, game object find player, grabbing the player properties script, and getting the lives variable. This is feeding into our sprite animation, and we're calling it up for right there. Alright, so this is going to finish off on the basic setup for the HUD in terms of being able to use the lives and being able to use the coins. We also have the timer counting down right here. Alright, so at this point, we're going to be able to just call these up whenever we need to. If I grab a coin, we'll set up a system for item pickups, and whenever I get a pickup, it'll add to the coins. If it's an extra life, then it'll add to the extra life. Alright, so the last part on here is that for this one, be sure just to comment on any of the additional areas. So for instance, we'll turn that one off. Make sure you just update on this. We have the this part, which is get player and set to be property, player properties there. And this one is just going to be set lives to player properties lives. There we go. And then again, anything else that you need to comment on, the top two right here, and then I'll finish it up for the HUD controller. This is going to be index for animation sprite. And we could go a little bit further with this and just say animation sprite for, we'll just say, counting through numbers. There we go. And then last one here. This one, this will just be to say hold coin amount and set in animation sprite. There we go. Alright. And again, this one I'll go ahead and just reset to 0 because we'll be calling and changing it up elsewhere. And again, that'll finish off our HUD controller, giving us the ability to work with our coins and our extra lives.